So the next point here is a stock deep dive. So what we have here is technical analysis of stocks. What we mean by technical analysis of stocks is basically, let's say we go into one of the screeners to see which stocks are really bullish stocks. So let's get into technical strength. We'll go for strong bullish stocks on daily tick and on NSE 500. So this will give you a very good, or maybe FNO stocks, right, to get much better quality stocks. So these are the stocks which are really bullish, very bullish. How do we mean it is bullish, right? So we use an algorithm. In TopStockResearch, which looks at 100+ parameters using machine learning and some sort of artificial intelligence to find stocks which are really bullish. Now, having a look at that in charts will give you a better confidence. So once you look at this, right, so the first or the most bullish stocks in FNO looks like Page Industry, which is, if you see at the charts, it's really going up, and the trend is pretty stellar, including volume support. So even at a very high level, the volume is high, right? So this will give you bullish stocks. Now, the topic of discussion was technical analysis of stocks, right? So let's get into Page Industry. Once you go into Page Industry, first thing what you see here is the technical strength of the stocks, which looks like a pretty good 82% is the strength, which is considered to be very bullish. And also this particular stock on daily tick is 98%, is more bullish than 98%. That means it is in top 2% of the universe of the stocks that we deal with, right? Apart from that, what you have is all the key indicators here. Key indicators, their rough strength, and a brief analysis around that, right? So let's say if you are a particular person who looks only at MACD, so when you click here, so the charts are pre-created for you with MACDs, right? Similarly, you can look at other things that you may be interested. For example, if you're looking at RSI Smooth, you click there, you'll find that RSI Smooth is here. Okay, so that way, what we cover here is pretty deep technical analysis of stocks, not only the values, but their color coding, a brief interpretation, what it means. For example, this says that MACD is trending up nicely vis-a-vis signal line. Right? When you look at this, so MACD is trending up pretty nicely, and both signal line is also trending up. So a brief information about it is also mentioned over here. Same way, if you feel that you are more interested in weekly stocks, you can just go here, look at weekly. So you'll get weekly analysis out here. On weekly charts, again, it is pretty stellar, right? So it is again more bullish than 98% of the stocks. If you are looking at much shorter term, let's say 15 minutes. So if you look at 15 minutes, it is much lesser compared to daily tick. It is about 64%. Why it is lesser than others? If you look at the charts on this thing, so there are certain ups and downs. And in last, maybe let's look at week, right? So there's certain downward trends. So from here to here, the movement is pretty good. But towards the end, it's not showing such a good sign, right? So that's why if you see, and it's pretty confusing that in certain ticks we say that it is bullish, very bullish. In certain ticks we say that it is neutral. In certain ticks we say that it is bearish. So this is what we mean by the ticks over here, right? So what you can see here is the tick, the strength, overall strength. Where does it rank vis-a-vis the universe of the stocks, individual values? If you're looking at EMAs, you can look at EMAs. If you're looking at WMAs, weighted moving average, or all MAs, so you have all the standard moving averages over here, 5, 10, 15, 20, plus a standard moving average crossovers. For example, this one, right? If you see here, between 5 to 20, it says strong bearish. Let's look at why it is strong bearish. So let's look at, what are we looking at? We were looking at simple, right? Simple moving average. You can draw 5 and 20. So when you look at that part, see, so basically the shorter moving average is coming down and crossed below the longer moving average. That's why you see red signal here, right? So that gives you a brief interpretation of what it covers. So that's pretty much about the technical analysis at a very high level. When we get into stock analysis, we'll cover in much more details, right? The options that you have is you can change any of the ticks here, right? So we'll leave it to you guys to look at that later. The next in the topic is fundamental analysis. So similar to technical analysis, when you click on the financials, what you get is the fundamental analysis page. Right? In the fundamental analysis, okay, so we'll go back. Fundamental analysis, right? So in the fundamental analysis, what we have is similar to technical analysis. We have growth, value, profit, and stability index. Why these are different and why some of them are more important than others is if you're looking for, see, one of the first rule of investing is basically preserve your capital, right? So, so basically, depending on your the investment or things, right? You should have a decent mix of all. Certain stocks should be very stable, right? Which where you're unlikely to make loss. So some of the stocks which trades pretty much in a narrow range, making decent profit, very low debts, and so on and so forth. So those categories will fall into stable stocks. Some would look for very strong growth stocks. Like a lot of us were looking at Paytm about 6 months or 1 year back because that's where the growth was expected to be, right? But from stability perspective, the debts and other things, it was pretty bad. So anybody who strongly believes in something like Zomato is another case, right? Where it was a good growth stock, but after IPO, I mean, the reality came in and the stability and the value was pretty bad. So that's why it was coming down. So this will give you a very good overview of the key set of information that you look for. Apart from that, what we provide is basically why it is terrific, right? Why it is terrific. Like stock returns is greater than Nifty by 40%, right? So that's why it's terrific. Petrosky score is 7, and similarly, Altman is very high. So Altman tells you the stability, right? So stability is pretty high here, right? So why it is steady is annual sales of the company is increased for 3 years in a row. So it's pretty steady. What is risky over here is it is very expensive. Any stocks which is growing very fast, right? So growth and value, basically, or growth and profit, they don't go very well with each other. Right? If it is highly profitable and highly growth stocks, then obviously it is trading at much higher value. So that's why it's saying expensive. Right? Price to earning is high, price to book is high, and very low on dividend perspective. So that's what we mean by this thing. Apart from this, you feel free to look at other aspects of balance sheet financials, which is mentioned over here. We'll cover in subsequent slides. Next in line is charts. So we briefly covered the charts. Let's cover the charts a little more. The last chart we saw was page industry, right? So you have an option of choosing any MAs that we have briefly touched upon. You have an option of basically touching any of the technicals. For example, if you're looking at, let's say, super trend, right? When you look at super trend, the standard what we cover is basically 10 and 3. To remove some of the noise, let's remove the moving average because it's causing a little bit of pollution, right? So this is where you can see the other technical indicators, whether it is overlays or whether it is, let's say, MACD kits as the bottom part of the charts. So you can play with this. If you feel that you want to compare this with, let's say, Nifty, you can always compare with Nifty. Where is it vis-a-vis Nifty on any time period? So this tells you that Nifty gives good returns. Nifty gives 2% returns on 1 week, whereas this gives about 6% returns. You can change the period. You can go to a very long period of time and compare stuff. You can always stack, tile, stack, right, one by one, which we'll cover on the chart section. So that was briefly about the charts of a particular stock. Next in this one is TSR, Technical Strength Index, which we have briefly covered. So Technical Strength Index, when we go back to the stock view, for example, let's go back to the page industry. Go back to the page industry, looking at the technicals. Now, so this is where the technical strengths are there, right? We'll cover that in subsequent section when we take this particular topic as a full-fledged topic. Chart patterns, if you want to look at the chart patterns of this one, right? All the chart patterns which are formed on this. So it will give you both. It will give you 3 different views. General information, it will give you that, okay, share has touched 52-week high today. It is trending up by 7 days, right? It has jumped by more than 25% from its lowest level of 3 months, right? So some of the commentaries here. Further commentaries, if you are looking at, is on the technical indicators. It will give you some ideas about the MACDs or the current PSARs or ADX and so on and so forth. That I'll leave it to you guys. For example, it is in overbought territory for 7 days. When you look at this one, it clearly tells you that it is in overbought level. Right? So it gives you brief commentary about this thing. If you're looking at the other chart patterns, it is forming higher high, higher lows, then resistance trend lines, long-term resistance trend line, and other set of information. You can get it at the stock level. Next in the series is TSR stability, valuation, growth, and profitability index. We have briefly touched upon on that. So when you look at the financials, these are the ones which we have briefly touched upon on that thing. Next, TSR stock view, briefly touched upon that. What are the T stand for? TSR, terrific, steady, risky. This is another acronym of TSR. We have quite a few interesting acronyms of TSR, the primary being TopStockResearch, but having fun, we try to have a lot of things around TSR, which we'll cover in subsequent time. Right. So next one is customize equity page. You can customize your equity page the way you want to. So the default customization is like this. If you feel that you are not interested in, let's say, you are more of a technical person, not interested in fundamental, just go there, right? Remove the fundamental analysis tabs, right? So historical ratios gone. Save the settings. So instead of 6 tabs, now you have much. So we have removed some of the fundamental ones here, right? So that's why that's how you can customize. Size wise, we have already discussed. Moving up and down, we'll cover in subsequent sections. Then what we have is up to 10 years of high and lows and 25 years of historical data. What this means is when you go here, you are looking for basically high and lows. So it will give you a picture of what are the 1 week old high price, low, what is the gain, loss. So in 10 years, this particular stock has gained by 1536%. That means 15 times, right? So these are all 10-year high, low, which period, which date. All this information is here. You can look at the simple charts or you can look at the interactive charts. In the interactive charts, you can go all the way to 25 years. Right? This is how this stocks. Maybe this stock was not listed 25 years back, so you have data up to 2007 of this thing, right? So you can get very myopic to very broad view of anything. You can get 5 minutes chart, right? Or you can look at quarterly charts. You can look. Okay, so here quarterly charts are not there, but in some of the space you have quarterly charts as well. Right? So you can look at the monthly, quarterly, quite a few set of charts. So this is what we cover in stock deep dive.